Today's discussion is a very important discussion for us and for everybody here concerned. It's about the history of art, yoga, Sikhism, and Hinduism, and the Sikh Hindu divide. I'm very honored, in fact, privileged, that Guruji is sitting right next to me. A brief information about him is that Gurudev Nidar Singh Nihal is the last remaining master of the ancient battlefield, the art known as Sanatan Shastra Vidya. He's also an expert in Sikh history and culture. Now, Sanatan Shastra Vidya is an ancient combat system that traces its origins to the Vedic period, but unfortunately has been nearly pushed to the brink of extinction. So Guruji seeks to re-establish this art back to India. Guruji, thank you so much for being here.
I'm privileged, thank you.
I believe you've taken a huge duty on your back. And last but not the least, a little information about me since I'm here. My name is Anuj Jakmola, and I'm a postgraduate in international relations from Amity University. Now, I am an enthusiast in history, politics, international relations, and security studies, and I am currently working with Op India as their writer. So, without further ado, I'm going to start with this interview, and I hope you learn and you enjoy it as much as I am feeling excited to. So, Guruji, what is Sanatan Shastra Vidya?
So, if you look at India now, India is an ancient civilization. And if humanity, according to science, began in Africa, but high civilization evolved and developed in India. So, right from the Harappa period, right through the Vedic period, and so on, we have been advanced in mathematics, advanced in music, advanced in spirituality, yoga, etc., so on. So it's not surprising that we also have very advanced martial traditions and so on. So for instance, with the Veds, you have the four Veds that deals with the culture. You have Stavani Ved that deals with architecture. You have Ayurveda that deals with medicine. So in the same way, we have Dhanu Ved that dealt with weapons, Shastra Vidya and so on. But unfortunately, Dhanu Veda, and they turned the Agni Pran. Even the period when Agni Pran was written, the Dhanu Veda had already basically been eclipsed. It's vanished. We lost. But the earliest texts are traced back to Shiva. Same with the Vidyas, like in most Indian arts, when it comes to dancing, music, art, it's all traced back to Shiva, Adi Shiva. Now, whether Shiva was, as we say in Punjabi, a Prabhashali, a genius, or whether he was just an archetypal shaman of ancient India, we can't really say. Okay, but it can be traced back to the ancient Rishi Muni, the Munivar and so on, the ancient sages of India. So Shaturya is spoken as being Sanatan. Now the word Sanatan means timeless. Now traditionally the word is just Shaturya, means the science of weapons. It is it's a science, but with the coming of British Raj, as a lot of culture in India was eclipsed, and there came a division between what is Sanatan and then what is the revisionist new stuff. So at that time, they added the word Sanatan to Shaturya to make it emphasize clearly that this is not of this period, but this is a timeless art. So Sanatan Shaturya is historically traced back to Adi Deva Shiva, who is spoken as the Adi Akharagadev, the primordial Akharagadev. Through Shiva, it is traced back to the Munivar who are known as Pashupat. Shiv Shiv Uchita Rachita Pashupat, Sumke Ranga Rachita. This is Guru Gobind Singh's quote from Sablo Granth, a text which is not so well known among Sikhs now, but it's one of the two texts that Guru Gobind Singh wrote, the Dasam Granth and the Sablo Granth. Acknowledged amongst the Nahangs, but not to mainstream Sikhs. The Pashupat, later on passed in the Vidya, they transmuted into what called the Kapaliks. Now, the closest you can get to Kapaliks now, but not actually direct descendants of them, are like the Agori Babis. They're known as Kapaliks. They're all in Punjabi known as Kappartar Babe. They carry skulls. They eat that. So the Kapaliks, and then from the Kapaliks, the Vidya comes into the Kapaliks in time, transmuted to the Nathas around the 10th century. Also, there's another different diverging lineage, the Munivar, the ancient Rishi Munis, who were known as Pashupat, the masters of the beast and so on. So if you look at the iconography in Harappa, you see them as depicted as a yogi-like posture, sitting in yoga with horns and so on. And if you look at the horn symbol,
Yes.
and you can realize in many cultures in the past, when they hunted, they would dress up as animals and so on. wear horns and so on, so they can get close to the animals and so on, and they can hunt them. In the same way, like those horn symbols later on ends up in Haraj called even Chola dynasties, Adnarishwar symbols, the Rasul symbol, and of course the Khanda symbol now as well. Like if you were to look at the Adnarishwar symbol from the Chola dynasty, and then look at the Sikh, what they call now the Khanda, which has been adopted in the early 20s, it's exactly the same. Near enough. Just take the idol out of the way and it looks the same. So there's a continuity of iconography. So from the Pashupatis, the Munivar eventually was divided into Shivites and Vaishnavas, the devotees of Vishnu, Shiva, and so on. And then the art comes to a place called Takshila, which is known as Takshnakasila. So Taksha, according to oral tradition, and according to Ramayana, is the son of Bharat, the nephew of Sri Ramchandra. And he establishes Takshila, the home of Taksh. And Takshila is originally a kingdom of the Nagas. So Nagas are the oldest Kshatriya dynasty in India.
Yes.
And then whereas Nagas are pre-Aryan, Aryavat, Aryan, the Suryavanshi and Chandravanshi will later come with the Aryans and so on. So with the Taksh, so at Takshila, the art from its primal state evolves into what we have now called the Yuddhans. The word Yuddha means combat. Yuddhan means forms of combat, basically battle forms. The Yuddhans of the art are for Varha, Shesh, Garud, Nandi, Narsingh, Hanuman Yuddhan, Bhagdev Yuddhan, Ashpaja Yuddhan, Chandika Yuddhan, and so on. Now all this knowledge vanished with the coming of British Raj. Once the British came in Punjab, the first thing they did was disarm the population. So there's writings like General Gough who talks about how the British went from Sikh village to village. And every village, they basically told the Sarpanch, the leader, hand in all your weapons. Confiscate all the weapons. Hitherto, if there's any weapons found here, it's you we're going to put in prison and it's your family we're going to evict from their lands. So systematically, they confiscated weapons. In the first year, the record state, over 120,000 weapons were confiscated by the British. And over 1,000 people were put in prison for concealing weapons and so on. The British then declared any renegade in the Punjab after the First Anglo-Sikh War as not as a renegade, but as a bandit. And they put over 2,500 horsemen and over 5,000 police specifically to hunt these bandits down. So people like Lieutenant Hodgson and so on, they were actually going out in posses and hunting the Khalsa down, laying in ambush, shooting them, killing them wherever they can. Anybody dressed in this bana, so if you look at this dress now, the Nahang dress I'm wearing, it's not exactly like the Nahangs today. This is called Jangi bana, the war one bana. And anybody seen dressed like this was to be automatically shot dead. These kind of affairs where they're shooting people dead, wiping them out, last for about 30 years after the Anglo-Sikh War. After the First Anglo-Sikh War, which ends in about 1846, we're talking about 46, 56, 60, 76, after about 30 years, this is happening. Many Nahangs had to escape to South India, to what modern day Nanded is. And even there, they were hunted. Okay, there's a large Fikar forest, Akia tree forest around Nanded traditionally as a means of defending it. That was chopped down in pursuit of hunting Nahangs. The Nizam of Hyderabad at that time, his vizier was Chandulal, a Khatri from Punjab. He was sympathized with the Sikhs. And he saved the Sikhs at that time. What he did was, he persuaded the Nahangs in Yusuf to give the nishans to them, so he can show to the British, look, we confiscated their battle standards, and the Nahangs are actually dead. There's none of them existing anymore. He lied to the British. And but 12 years later, they will return to the Punjab. So that's 1846, 1848, 1858, they will return back. And eventually there'll be a deal cut with the kings of Patiala, who will collaboration. You can realize, in the Anglo-Sikh Wars, there was one kingdom of Lahore, the Sikh kingdom, fighting. And this Lahore kingdom was composed of not just Sikh soldiers, but Hindu soldiers, Muslim soldiers, the cosmopolitan, even Europeans were in the armies. And they're fighting the British, who are allied with Patiala, Nabha, Jeen, Sugrur, Kaithal. All these are Sikh kingdoms. So it's not a clear-cut Sikh versus the British, etc., so on. Like in reality, everything is mismatched. So you have about 9 kingdoms of Sikhs with the British against this one kingdom of Lahore, which is the largest kingdom there was. And the Nahangs and the Burdal, based at Akal Takht, were with the Maharaj Ranjit Singh. So British Raj comes, these martial traditions now are completely banned. Shatras are confiscated, and now Shatra Vidya is also indirectly gets banned as well. You can't just, if you confiscate weapons, you can't keep weapons. The Nahangs, like I said, 30 years are getting hunted, and some of the old Nahangs who survived, they managed to keep their weapons. What they did was, they would take these handles like these, and they put them onto wooden swords. When the British came to inspect, they would put the wooden sword in the scabbard. When the British came, they looked at it, it was a wooden sword. When the British went away, they put the real swords back in. They would make muskets, guns at time of wood as well, to look like real sword replica guns. Again, when the British came, they will present them, and when the British go away, they pull out the real guns. So they kept it like this. Now, for the Vidya, there's one guy left, one individual. His name was Baba Sawan Singh Bhangru. He was a Brahmin from Kashmir. His family came to modern-day Haryana, and there they married the local Jats. So the caste dropped. And Sawan Singh Bhangrus, they were Sikhs from Kashmir. And Sawan Singh Bhangru's father had joined the Nahangs. They were Nahangs. Sawan Singh Bhangru survived the Anglo-Sikh wars. He was badly burnt. And to suppress the pain, he began to take a lot of cannabis, and thus he came to be known as Sawan Singh Pangad. And Sawan Singh Bhangru is the one we credit with as saving Shatrughat. You got to realize, the Marathas were conquered, were great. So Shatrughat one time was from northern India all the way through to Banaras. So the Rajputs, the foremost warriors of India, before there were Kshatriyas, then there was the Rajputs, and from the Rajputs, then the Marathas, there were Jats, there were Sikhs, and so on, and there's Oms in the east and so on. But the Vidya, the domain of the Vidya we call Shatrughat is where the Sanskrit culture was. Okay, so as a consequence, the Marathas came conquered around, I think, if my memory serves me right, if someone's here, they can correct me, around 1818, their Peshwa surrendered. Is that true? Okay, I don't know what month, is June or something. June 18, something like that. And then around the same time, I don't know if Rajputs are around here as well, the Rajputs of Rajputana made an alliance with the British between 1817 and 1819, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but that's around that time, that they basically became protectors of the British state. And the British encouraged these Rajputs to just live in Aish Masti, like just, have a lot of opium, keep your harems, and keep happy and all this. Anybody of the Rajputs who stood out against the British, they are removed quick, and so on. And everywhere and the British are looking for any kingdom that lapses to take it over, like the kingdom of Radhi Jhansi and so on. And in Punjab as well, those who, the Sikhs, lost on the battlefield, not because they were inferior, the Sikh guns were superior, the Sikh fighting techniques in hand-to-hand combat was obviously superior, but they also were trained by French and European soldiers, so the Sikh soldiers were on comparable level to the British, and the Sikhs actually won on the battlefield, except the British are from very early on in England, they are very cunning in terms of knowing how to exploit the differences in different races, and just like with Scots and the Irish, they basically bribe certain individuals. Okay, if you look in India, it's not very hard to find the odd traitor or two, and greed is also very easy there. So they bribe certain Sikh Dogras, not modern Sikhs, they're Sikhs, they're Dogras, but they're Sikhs. They bribe them, Teja Singh, Lal Singh, Gulab Singh, Dhyan Singh died before early on, even Rani Jinda, which modern Sikhs don't like to admit. But some people had other issues. They didn't like the Sikh armies, like Rani Jinda wanted revenge for her brother. But people like Teja Singh, Lal Singh, Gulab Singh was promised Kashmir, simple as that. You take Kashmir and then that's it. So the Khalsa lost because he got betrayed. At a crucial moment in the battlefield, in the Battle of Firuzshah, a Sikh new army and the Teja Singh came. They could have easily wiped out the British. No, they delayed it. Another army could have wiped out, taken out Ludhiana. No, they still delayed it. Then at the last battle, Firuzshah, when instead of gunpowder, they sent sack loads of, they had a bit of gunpowder and they had it called sarong, mustard seed below. So when you get stabbed in the back, then there's not much hope for you. And this would happen to the Khalsa. So what happened now is Marathas, they get suppressed, British, and the British do the same thing there. Disarm them, get rid of all their castles, get rid of their gunpowders, get rid of their martial skills. And the Marathas have the same comparable skills as Sikhs, as the Rajputs and so on. Jats, the Rajputs, they got conquered very easy. Sikhs were the last people to go down. because they're the furthest away from the British, based in Bengal. But also, this one individual, Sahib Singh Bangru, after 30 years, even when the rest of the Nihangs made a compromise with the British, this Baba did not surrender. He formed a gang of bandits, and he basically he attacked the British. His gang got wiped out, he still survived. He then hid out in what we know in Nandapur now as Mithasar, which is basically, it's the jungle area now. I don't know now, they might have developed it now. But in the past, it's pure thick jungle. There's no way you can catch anybody there. Like, he stayed there, and then towards the end of his life, he passed the Vidya on to one individual called Baba Mangal Singh. Now, Mangal Singh was the brother of Baba Gurmukh Singh and Sadhu Singh, who were the Jahadars of Shiddan de Bagh, and so on, Baba Kala. And Gurmukh Singh in particular was a Sanskrit master. He actually went to Banaras, studied Sanskrit, and defeated the Pandits there, so he's highly knowledgeable. He also practiced Hatha Yoga as well. And Guru and Sadhu Singh was well educated, even Baba Mangal Singh. See, but in that time, you could not openly speak of Shastra Vidya. And there's a tale that one time Sahib Singh Bangru, he's very old now, in his 80s, was in Lahore. So this time, 30 years, they've been hunting him, they couldn't catch him. At the end, he just forgotten by the British. He's in Lahore, some excited young man comes, grabs him by the arms, and look, this is the Gatka. And he looks at Gatka. Now Gatka is an exhibition art. Gatka is Khatka, Khatka is Khut. It comes from Turkmenistan, where the Turks came from. Gatka comes from there. Even look at the terminology, it's all Persian. As a consequence, when Baba Sahib Singh saw this, like the exhibition going on, he said these words. I don't know if you can understand these. He said, Chatka hai Gatka, Gatka hai Chatka. Ek choke se yo jaan hadpe, so Chatka Gatka janiye, abar Gatka so kacha fikka chutha nakamma maniye. He dismissed it because what we have now is, the Gatka we have is exhibition now. Okay, the kele kule kutne ka da pattewa khel dikhawat hai, Sur bhi kartav karta hai. So you can go into Surya Prakash. Even early as 1843, when Surya Prakash written, a text by Kavi Kansnok Singh, Nanak Prakash, it talks about the distinction between a exhibition art and a combat art. So what we have now, one point here, the Sikhs, that one individual, just one individual, kept the spark alive. Just like in Banaras, when Aurangzeb went out, he attacked Banaras, tried to restore Vishwanath Mandir and so on, tried to wipe out the Ghats. One family, what's called Chandals there, kept that ancient flame alive. So in Banaras, it's believed that the flame that fell there is from the times of the Jyotirlingam falling on this earth. And that one family kept that Chingada alive. In the same way, Sahib Singh Bangru kept that one spark of Shastra Vidya alive. One time, this spark raged throughout northern India and so on. In terms of Harsha Vardhan, it was even there going towards the south. Even South Kalari now. I don't want to offend Kalari people here, but let me talk like this. Kalari is traced back to Parshuramji, and it's traced back to what's called Parshuramji and Agastya Muniji. It is a South Indian art. There's no question about it. Now it's South Indian. It's there in South. But think about it. Where did Agastya Muni come from? According to our mythological records, he came from the feet of Shiva from north. Kailash and so on. I'm not saying he's Chinese. I'm saying because Tibet in that time was part of India as well. Like,
Of course.
okay, that's why you have Garuda Valley there and so on.
Okay.
And then we have what you call Parsuram. And Parsuram lived his life through what we call now the Devbhumi, the mountains and so on. And then they traveled down south like. So if your gurus took the Vidya down south, then obviously the Vidya is traced back there. Same as the Veds in the south. The Veds come from Punjab side. Rishi Panini, who wrote the grammatics of Sanskrit, he came from Punjab. Vyas Rishi, who wrote the Veds and so on, he also was the real Vyasis in Punjab side as well. And eventually, so early on, Vedic culture was centered in what we know as Punjab. Then in time, it shifted to what we know now as Banaras. Okay, and the political center also shifted to what we know. Hard to believe now if you go to Patna, but Pataliputra was the center of Indian political life for a long time. All the most powerful kingdoms, Chandragupta Mauryas, the later Guptas, they all came from modern day Patna, where Guru Gobind Singh was born. So the Vidya is one individual who kept it alive, and that's the same Vidya I teach now. It's very rare now. Modern day Sikhs, they are completely unaware of this, that this Vidya did exist. Gyani Gyan Singh in Tawai Ke Guru Khalsa in 1897 writes that even for us who know that Shastra Vidya exists, and even those who are practicing, even for us it's like a dream. And another 50 years, it'll be extinct. And all these skills, if we tell young men about how good the skills, sticks, sword, and satru there was, they won't believe it. They said, nah, that's all made up. And this was happening like. So Samsing Bangru, Pastor Cho talked about Mangal Singh. But Mangal Singh passed on one Baba Gyana Singh. But in the times of Baba Gyana Singh, Sikhism itself has changed. Okay, I'm a Nihang. And there's individuals back there dressed as Nihangs as well, which I can logically assume they're Nihangs as well, like Khalsa. But there's a distinction in Nihangs in the old school. If you go to a text written by one Sampurna Singh Nihang, so Sampurna Singh lived in the early 1900s. There's a text by him called Suryavansiya Khalsa. And in that text, there's an image of him. In that image, he gives a title of Sampurna Singh Nihang, but he calls himself Sanatan Nihang. Sanatan Kshatriya Kali Nihang. So there's a distinction. Sanatan means they who follow the old traditions, the timeless traditions, the ones did not compromise when British Raj came in. So the ancient Kshatriyas in India, they have one thing common throughout. Whether you're a Maratha, whether you're a Rajput, whether you're a Khalsa, Sikh, there's one thing that connects all Kshatriyas in India, and that is the worship of Devi, Bhavani, Chandi, the Maryadas of Jhatka. So in there, when the Sera comes, just before the Sera, Naratte comes, the 9 days of worship of Devi, which is linked in the past with Sri Ramchandraji, when he worshipped the Devi, they will do Jhatke. They will take a goat, single blow, and Shaturda itself, in British Raj, when it became banned, Shastra, instead of calling, they couldn't call it Shastra Vidya. For simple reason, it is Shastra Vidya is Shastras are banned. You can't say, well, Shastra banned, but I do Shastra Vidya. You'll be arrested right away and deported. So what they did, and don't forget, 1887, I think, if I'm correct now, I don't know if you can correct me now, 1871, let me have a look at my note. So what we have now, with the British coming in, we're looking at, so 1871, the Criminal Tribes Act comes in, which basically takes anybody who's hostile to the British Raj, Nihangs, Sannyasis, Gujjars, anybody who they see as a threat to them, they're declared as habitual criminals. In other words, as soon as they're born, they are guilty. And they constrict their movements throughout India. And we're talking about, by 1947, we have 13 million Indians declared as habitually criminal belonging to 127 communities. Okay? There's no way of saying that you are a criminal, you are born criminal, simple as that. Then later on, 1878, we have the Indian Arms Act coming. And once the act comes in, then the weapons, you just can't keep them. Nowadays, Nihangs did not surrender the weapons. That is why we still keep our weapons. You guys surrendered your weapons, so you lost your weapons. Okay? But even the Sikhs were allowed to keep a small Sri but the weapons are still there. So that's the history like. I want to give him a chance to talk now. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. So, Guruji, now you've explained quite briefly how the whole process, the progress,
There's a book
and
coming
the
out,
extinction has happened. So, I'm going to go to a very controversial question, and I'm sorry if I'm going to put you in the spot.
Don't worry, I like you in the spotlight.
Great. So, a Nihang of the name Sardar Nihang Singh had installed a murti of Lord Ram in the then standing Babri Masjid in 1858.
Yeah.
And he also started doing the Havan. This is a recorded fact which has been used in the Ram Janmabhoomi case as well. So, Guruji, the question is a bit large, but it is linked to this. You've mentioned that you consider yourself, you call yourself a Hindu Sikh.
I call myself Sanatan. Like. I am a Hindu Sikh. Like.
Yes. So
Hindu in the sense culturally Hindu.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So is Murti Puja allowed in Sikhism?
No. को बतान को पूज रहे पस को मृतन को पूजनता है कूड़ के और जो सभी जग श्री भगवान को पेड़ ना पाया. Murti puja is absolutely condemned, like, but at the same time, we do not advocate destroying idols and so on either. Okay. So monks Nihangs, let me point out this. There's a tradition. So in the Sikh world, there are 4 sampratas, 4 traditions, traditionally. They are the traditions of Baba Sri Chand. So Baba Sri Chand is the elder son of Guru Nanak. He was a Adasi. And the Adasis are yogi types and so on. So it's all about spreading dharma. Okay, and I cannot spread Dharam unless I bring you in and you can communicate and talk with me and so on. So let me give you this very briefly how they four sampradas do it. The Adasis are the earliest sampradaya in Sikhism. The Adasis, some Sikh, they came a bit estranged in the time after Guru Nanak Dev. There's a bit of estrangement amongst the Adasis because certain members of Guru Nanak Dev's family felt that the Gaddi should go to Baba Sri Chand, like the successorship. But of course, he went to Baba Lehna Ji, the second Sikh Guru. But in the Nahan tradition, amongst the Dasis, we believe that there are three Gaddis that Guru Nanak gave. Okay? The Gaddi of the Sant, which is the most important one, the one that is the route to Moksha and Vaheguru, is Baba Lehna Ji. So Baba Lehna Ji is the supreme Guru. Like, there's no question about that. But your Pravardi Gaddi, like family, went to Guru Nanak Dev, it's called like Lakshmi Chand, second son. But the Virkat Gaddi of sadhus went to Baba Sri Chand. So Baba Sri Chand's job was basically to talk to yogis, sannyasis, bragis, enlighten them. Because in the times of Guru Nanak, many sadhus and yogis were basically hiding. The early sadhus, like Baba Gorakhnath. So Guru Gorakhnath was a great warrior as well. Like, so when the first Muslims, the Turks came invading into India in 10th century, it was actually the Gorakhnathis who took up Shastra Vidya and confronted them. They confronted them, what's called obviously physically, where it need to be, but also later on with dialogue as well. So there's a whole tradition of, I mean, some of the, like I said, you can't just you can't say that all Muslims are nutcases and fanatics and so on. Same way you can't say all Sikhs and Hindus are extremely nice people and they're not fanatical nutcases amongst them. It's not true like. So some of the caliphs, some of what's called, I can say, in Baghdad, there were very enlightened kings there who would invite these yogis to talk to them, converse with them and so on. And the yogis then had a nice, so some places they conflicted, other places they had nice dialogue going on. Now, but in the times of Guru Nanak Dev, the great yogis like Gorakhnath, Gopi Chand and so on, the yogis are basically deteriorated many times. They went to what's called tantric stuff, black magic stuff. They're hiding out, away from the people. Either they were conning the people, even nowadays you get fake yogis, you'll see them eating kachakuch and doing stupid things and claim to be this yoga. You find modern day yogis who are now sexually molesting women in the West as well, all Radha Bikram and all this law. But then there are true yogis out there, actual yogis, tapasvis and so on. So there's always true and there's always false. In times of Guru Nanak, the false were dominant, and Guru Nanak, especially in Siddh goes and confronts them. And his main complaint is that you guys are there to inspire people, to lead people through your example, not through teaching. Like in Hindu Dharma, there's 4 ashrams. There's a brahmacharya at the beginning, where you learn from your parents, then from your teachers, then you become gresti. And once you become gresti, then you get life experience as well. Then you take what's called then brahmaspat. In other words, then you become a teacher yourself. But the last one is sannyas. And the sannyasi does not preach, does not teach. He leads by example. Like you look at a sannyasi and say, this is the guy. He keeps dharma in his place by the way he lives his life. And these yogis in times of Guru Nanak were hiding out. So Guru Nanak confronted them. To them, Guru Nanak sent his eldest son, Baba Sri Chand, to go out, talk to these guys, and so on. Now, wherever the Dasis went, they had what called Akara Makar Sakar. It's a philosophy. So they went to a village. Say I went to his village, and I realized everybody there worships Ram. And we said, okay then, do they have a mandir there? And if you say, well, there's a mandir there, then the Dasi will go to the mandir. But if there's no mandir there, he will get an idol of Ram and put it there and make a mandir. This will attract Ramapaks. And then while he's there, his next thing is, okay, that's the akar, the form, shape. And then next one is called akar, sakar, reality of it. Who really is Ram? To know the reality of Ram, they will expound then the Ramayana. And of course, like you people here, I mean, some of you will know, listen to me and talk, others will nod off and sleep, and others will walk out halfway through a talk or something like that. They couldn't care less. But we'll see. So some people stuck around to hear the Ramayana. Yes. And then, amongst those people who stuck around to hear the Ramayana, then Adasis then figured out who they can take further spiritually. So, ek Ram Dasat ka putra, ek Ram yo sab mein ramya hoya, Parmeshwar roop hai, who's not confined to a physical form and so on. And then at the end, there's a akar. This is sakar reality. So akar. So the idol is a Makai's deception. Like it's akar is a form, but this form is not the reality. is it's called, but then Sakat, but what's the reality? Reality is that Ram is everywhere. And that's when they go, this is then, all this idol worship is makar, it's false. But if your level is just up to idol worship, then do that. If your level is just coming to a mandir and matha taking because your mom's going to do a jutti on you, if you don't go, that is your level. Like, so to bring people in, the Dasis use these ideas to bring them in. And even the Golden Temple, one time before the British came in, and so Singh Sabis came in, up to about 1919, if I'm correct, there were idols all around the Pakarma. Like. And there's a beautiful text by one Avtar Singh Bahiria. He explains that the Singh Sabis have not understood why they're there. Okay? So the idols of Ram, because Sikhism, in its pure form, is Nirguna worship. It's not Sarguna. Okay? Nirguna Sarguna Prabh Aap hai. We acknowledge Sarguna. We give a nod to it. We give satakar to it. We don't dismiss it. But we are Nirguna worshippers. And but unlike some hardcore Nirguna sons who would despise the Murtiya, we don't despise them. We don't worship them, but we don't dismiss them. And they kept the Murtiya there. They say the Murtiya are like Tatane, Jugunu, fireflies. In the dark by itself, the firefly is the sun itself. It radiates everywhere. But in the presence of a sun, just like you try to hold a candle to the sun, the Jugunu Hasti, reality, vanishes. There's no more Jugunu left. The Guru Granth Sahib, if you look at Guru Granth Sahib, it's the essence of the spiritual traditions of India. So in the Hang tradition, we say the primal text is the Vedas. And we give them, Vedamay Namutum Susunana. We expect the Veda Kate Matgo Chute. We don't call the Vedas false, we don't call Semitic text false. In the Vedas, there's the Gyan Kand, spiritual, Vedantic philosophy, and so on. We give that full respect. But unlike the Nirmala Sikhs, who will study the Vedas and Shastras, we ain't got time. We're warriors. I want to wield a danda like. So what we do is, we say the essence of Vedas is the Bhagavad Gita. And Guru Gobind Singh translated the Bhagavad Gita in Pakhya mein, and you can see this in the Guru Dasam Granth at Patna Sahib. But even the Bhagavad Gita, written so long ago, who would know the essence of Bhagavad Gita? The Bhagats, the devotees of Bhagavad. So like Ramananda ji, Namdev ji, and so on, Kabir ji, the Bhakts, and the Bhagats. Like for instance, you can read a text like the Bhagavad Gita, but your appreciation of what it actually contains is not going to be the same as a true Bhakt who worships it, who lives and breathes it. So the Bhagats have extracted the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. Sheikh Farid has attracted the essence of a concept like Ubadat al-Wujud, which is Sufi Islam, which means all the essence of Allah. So in our tradition, we believe that there's mat, which are religions, and there's dharma. So Vedant, that all is Brahm. Sab Gobind hai, Gobind avar na koi. That's basically Vedant. And that's what Sikhism as well. Then you have Bhaktis, the Bhakts who started in South India, who claim that everyone is, we see our Ishtadev. If I'm devoted to Ram, I see Ram everywhere. If I'm a Christian, everywhere. Same. And then Islam, the Sufis, they have Badat al-Wujud, that all is the essence of Allah. And semantically, there may be slight differences. If you say, okay, everything is the essence of Allah, is that the same as everything is Brahm? You could argue about it, but in essence, it's very close to each other. So in the Guru Granth Sahib, you have devotees of Ram, Ramananda and so on, Bragis and so on. You have what you call Vaishnavas in there, you have what you call Sufis in there, you got everybody, true Bhakts. And those Bhakts have taken the essence, and that essence is in Guru Granth Sahib. And that's when Guru Nanak went to the sadhus, the yogis, in Siddha Gosht, they presented a pyala, like a goblet of milk, and said, look, there's enough religion here, we don't need any more. But Guru Nanak took a jasmine flower, placed it on top, saying that this contains the essence. So Guru Granth Sahib contains the essence of spirituality, as far as we're concerned. And as a consequence, that is such a bright sun that in his presence, nothing else shines. Now, going back to your question, because I answer my questions like Indian man. I go everywhere, then I come back.
Yeah.
So, in Shaturday, we are Rama Bhakts.
Okay.
Okay, we say that, Ram, Ram. But we don't just say Ram, Ram. Ram Ram sabko kahe ke ho Ram na hoye. Just by saying Ram Ram, you're not going to become back to someone. Ram, Karm Khand ki bani jod, tete hor na koi jod. So in warriors, like Karm Khand, the spirit of action, Karm Khand bani is jod hai, force. Tete hor na koi hor. Tete jod mahapul, jithe jod mahabal surat mein Ram reha purpur. So for a great warrior, must have Ram in our hirda. Ram to us means peace, contentment. Okay? Yeah. So when I do Chatur Vidya, I mean, I'm teaching basically Jhadke Vidya. In my head, every day, I have to kill 1,000 people just doing techniques. I don't kill anybody. In my head, I go through 1,000 techniques. Yes. And then if you see me do my techniques, you'll see I do this. But if you're constantly contemplating killing, and so on, in my dreams, I'm killing millions. Sleep. There's always Chandi the part going on in my head. I'm always doing, because it's Jatke Vidya. That can consume you. So they say, Jap Gobind Gopal, Ram Nam, Simran Fer na Khaye Mahakal. So we contemplate Ram to stay at peace. Tandiyo te ko jag mein, mukh mein har chit mein judd bacha rahe ho, says Guru Gobind Singh. So those are great beings in the world, says Guru Gobind Singh, who on their mouths contemplate Hari. Hari yo sab tha hobe. But in their chit, in their heart and mind, we contemplate war. Mainly the war is two types. There's internal war, inside, against your vices, your lower self. Gyan khadgale manso lujiye. So we're taking a sword of knowledge and we fight the battle in between, in ourselves, like to suppress the vices. But then there's also external war. Okay, even though the teachings in Sablo Granth, it tells you, Prat ut kar ashnana, pad pankaj mo manlina, jatha shakt dan pukhi ko kahe, nimk rang pinna, krodh nawar daya man lavo. So forsake anger, love compassion. Ik man hoye pajo narayan. Hinsa durmat tyago khima dharma anrago. So hinsa durmat, forsake violence, forsake evil thinking, love the dharma of forgiveness. So we'll forgive everybody. We'll forgive, yeah, we can forget violence, but there's a line if you cross it, like. If you try to call this Gurka Sikh Gaumukh Rahe, says the old Ratnamis in the Khada. Let the Sikh remain like, now it sounds horrible in English, cow-faced. It means staying humble. Gurka Sikh matlab nirmata te rahe. अगर कोई दोस्त खेड़ता है छेड़ता है पिछा नहीं छाड़ता कोई someone evil person just won't let you be and there's no way पिछा खेड़ता नहीं छाड़ता कितना एक अपने आप पर धर्म पर आबरू पर बने हैं. It's a question of defending yourself, your dharma, your honor, your nation, whatever. जब सब हिले रह चुके हैं और कौन हथियार करे? And when there's all the means, there's no other way left now. I can't talk to him, I can't negotiate with him, whatever. Then, as a last resort, you take up weapons. Okay? So then you know it's either me or him. जैसे सिंह कलाचमा काम करता है, आखिरी फुर्ती ने टिल नहीं करना. So just like a tiger pounces, then not even for a single blink, then my sword comes out, then it's chatka time, and so on. So the Hindus, what they did was, in Babri Masjid, when they place, so the Nihangs are no idol worshippers. It's simple as that. Okay? But they do acknowledge that the rest of the Hindu world is attracted, so on. So Babur, in Bani, is spoken of as extremely cruel. Okay? When he attacked Ahmedabad and so on, his soldiers raped and plundered and murdered and so on. But there's also a tradition in the Sikh tradition, because it's called, because the governor of that time of Punjab, who actually brought in Babur, was a Marid of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Okay, he's actually a disciple of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Guru Nanak met, according to Sikh traditions, Babur. Guru Nanak was captured in Ahmedabad, and then through his innate holiness, so in the Jamsaki, they describe a miracle. The chakkis in front of him moved by itself. The pandit on his, the stuff on his head just floated. But in reality, he's innate spiritualism attracted. Even now, if you go to Pakistan, many places, there are many Muslims who make clear that Guru Nanak is a Peer. So Guru Nanak appealed to everybody. And even on his death, there's a dispute as to who is a Hindu, Muslim, and so on. So Guru Nanak was extremely popular by everybody and loved by everybody. And when Guru Nanak met Babur offered him bhang, they said, at that meeting. Then Guru Nanak then spoke to Babur and said, if you want to rule in India, then you must promise that you will not persecute the Hindus and so on. This is a Sharti event. But the day your descendants are persecuting the Hindus, then we who gave you, like I gave the bar, then my descendants like that, they will then take the Raj off you. Like. So when Aurangzeb later on executed Guru Tegh Bahadur, he broke that promise and so on to Guru Nanak. So Guru Nanak, even Sikh Gurus, they're willing to negotiate a peace as well. Not just by even Guru Gobind Singh, after the death of Aurangzeb, Guru Gobind Singh is on his way to meet Guru Aurangzeb to see if they can negotiate something. Then Guru Nanak helped Bahadur Shah. But when Bahadur Shah was not willing to go against Wazir Khan in Sirhind, then he deputized Banda Baragi, Banda is actually a khatab, a title. Madhu Das declared him Banda, the commander of his armies, not the head of the Khalsa. The head of the Khalsa was Baba Banod Singh, okay, who was the first Jahdar of Burdal and the first Akal Takht Jahdar after the Gurus. And then, if you can negotiate peace, fine, we do that. But then it's a last resort, like Guru Gobind Singh, Jo Kajam Hilte Dar Gajesh Hal Astan Bardan Samshir Dast. When there's no other way out, you can't negotiate, can't make peace, then Danda is Pir. Okay, then you take Shatru. So what we have now is when the Nahangs went there in Baba Masjid, and there's no question about it, Nahangs do havans. We even do them now, like even I do havans. The Nahangs in Punjab, they do it in secret because modern day Sikhs also tappan up in there. But otherwise, Nahangs do havans. And we read Chandi Var, Uksadanti and so on. There's reference to havans in ancient texts. Even Ahmad Shah Abdali's writers, when they came to Punjab, they said the Sikhs are fire worshippers. There's a great havan done in, I think it is in 1667, when Ahmad Shah Abdali was driven from Punjab. The Khalsa did great havans. They did Chatange, Chatke, Bakre, oxes were decapitated, offered to the Devi, etc. and so on. It's a method of psychologically preparing yourself for battle. Because Nahangs, we go down there now, or even Nahang Das, they will take a bakra on the Sera day, Chitanga, take the blood, anoint their foreheads, the kids' foreheads, the weapons, Nishan, Seb. So it's a warrior thing. It happened in the Akal Takht up to 942, happens in there right to this day. Many Sikhs object to it, but Nahangs don't care. We don't care. It's our tradition. Shut the away. So the thing is, when they went to Baba Masjid, they knew there's a dispute going on from a long time. Even Magadeh, when I was learning, he told me after a training, he said, go to what's called Naina Devi, go to the Pashupati Mandir, go to the Vishwanath Mandir, Mahakal Mandir there, and of course all these places. And if I can, go to, even this is like in 80, this is when I finished my training 94. Magadeh said, go to Ajodhya to pay homage at the place of Ram and so on. So the Nahangs for a long time have acknowledged this, that this is a place of Ram. Like it's not new. Like the guy who was advising these people who were fighting, there was actually Rajinder Singh Narala, who was in Nirmala. And he was a very bitter person. The SGPC chopped his arm up once. They took him to the offices and then they chopped his arm off. And he wrote a lot of books. He wrote a book called Why Hum Hindu Hai and so on. But Nahangs don't agree with that 100%. Sikhs are Hindus in a particular cultural sense, but not Hindus in another cultural sense. We have that in-between line, like fine line. So Babur Masjid, when they went there, they did havans. That's Nahang tradition. Put the murti there, that's just to rally the locals. That's the only reason they do a murti there. Otherwise, there's no tradition of murti worship in Nahangs. Adasis, they keep murtiyan. Nirmales, they keep samadhiyan and murtiyan of their called sadhus and so on. And in there, again, they may have murtis in the mandir just to attract, usually pictures. And then there are Sevapanthis, they are more Sufi inclined, they don't have murtiyan. But there's a tradition that Guru Gobind Singh had a murti of Durga, Chandi, and this murti was found up to about 1920s at Nandir. I actually got a painting of it, which the original painting was lost in Germany, but there's a lithograph of the painting. I published it in a book, in the Master's Presence. So it's a funny relationship, murtiyan like. So on one hand we say, Bhutan ko pujat hai bas, only like animals, fools, worship. But at the same time, in Parchan Sevdas, there's a fine example of Guru Gobind Singh answering Aurangzeb. He reprimands Aurangzeb that you are destroying the idols of Hindus, but by destroying one, you're creating millions. Because the ones who worship the idol, now they're going home, some are making of atta, some making of called mom, and so on. So it's by destroying that, you're creating millions. The truest idol, says in Parchan Sevadas, and Parchan Sevadas written by what's called Sevadas, who was in the presence of Guru Gobind Singh's Darbar, is ego. Ego is the true idol. Even Guru Granth Sahib, if you're just going there, matha tekana, and not studying it, not listening to what he says, not listening to the hukum, then that is idol worship as well. Like. So true worship is ego. So Babri Masjid, so the answer is a bit more complicated than you expect.
Let's come to yoga.
Yeah.
So I've seen the art and I've seen how each and every practitioner has a precise control over his or her limbs.
Yeah.
So that of course shows that there is a requirement of practicing it each day with a proper parampara.
Okay.
So Guruji, do you think that a practitioner who also does yoga and also practices this art can benefit more? And why are certain sections of the Sikh community against yoga while there are groups like the 3HO, which is a Sikh group, organization, which is a worldwide group just like ISKCON, they support yoga. And what are your views on it?
Okay, so yoga is the last of the classical disciplines. It's not the first. Okay, the hunters came first, shikaris, because paid puja comes first. You don't get your roti, nothing happens. Okay, so roti comes first. Hunters came first. And if you look at yogis, old image of yogis, like the Adideva, Shiva, meditating, he's always sitting on animal skins, mirkshalas and so on. He's wrapped in animal skins. Now, he didn't go shopping and get those animal skins, I'll tell you that. These animal skins were taken off animals. You can't take them off dead carcasses which are rotting either.
Yeah.
If you ever have shot deer and then skinned them, that's when you get these skins. You can't take them from a dead carcass that's been lying there rotting away. It'll smell, it's disgusting. So these yogis at one time hunted. Okay. Now, what happens is you got the hunters that came first, the yogis. And once you start eating well, you start enjoying yourself, then the pogis come. And then you start having a bit of celebration, dancers come. So like dance, for instance. You can find dance in the animal kingdom. Animals dance. They have ritual dance, for mating dance, and so on. Yeah. So they exist before the spoken language as well. So yogis, pogis, the nat, they come first and so on. But when the shikaris began hunting human beings, they became shatataris. They became warriors. So from the hunters, then you end up with the warriors. The warriors, they win, they celebrate, they do pog, they make babies, all that. Yoga is the last thing to develop because spirituality. Majority of people think of spiritual last thing. That's the last thing. First is eating, second is survival, and then a bit of fun. Okay? That's how it works. So yogis are last. So even your meditation comes from the fact hunters sitting at watering holes, waiting for animals, quietly, silently, so they can shoot them. Just like fishermen now, they sit there with a rod like this. Even now, hunters, they will quietly move and they hold their position. So yoga comes from there. Now, in Sattva Vidya, let's look at yoga, reference to yoga in Sikhism. So the yoga is different types. There's the Hatha yoga, which is physical yoga, asanas and so on. But there's bhakti yoga, Naam Jap, Simran. That is the highest yoga in Gurbani, Naam Jap. Okay? So every morning, you get up before sunrise, Prat Ut Karashanana. You get up in the morning, go to your bathroom, you wash yourself, clean yourself. You sit yourself down before the sun comes up. And then you focus your mind, body and spirit, and you do jap of mantras. Now, the highest mantra jap in Sikhi is Vaheguru. And in traditional Indian thinking, in Sikh thinking, Vaheguru, as Bhagavad states, and Sablo Granth, and Pant Prakash, is composite of 4 letters of the names of Vishnu. Ram, Hari, Govind, Gopal, etc. so on. In the tradition of Kumtu, we have actually 6 mantras. We have Kal, Akal, Sarvakal, Sallo, then Mahakal. But the highest is still Vaheguru. And the mantras that we Indians tend to use are either linked to the Shivite tradition. So Hari, Govind, Gopal, all are Shiva linked. Kal, Akal, Sarvakal, Sallo, Mahakal. These are always Shivite tradition. They're linked that way.
Yeah.
And you take and whatever your Ishtadev is, you take that particular mantra. And then you focus your mind and your body and spirit in a particular way. We use, in my tradition, I use 6 mantras, but then the highest mantra is Vaheguru. So we use that. And then we still the body and the mind. And just like you young men will go to gyms, and when you go to gyms, you train, you pump your body with this. We have like in Punjabi, it says Bhakti Mein Shakti. There's ways of developing power from the Kumbh. Okay, so even texts like Shiva Samhita and so on, they talk about the highest power is in the Kumbh. So I'm not here going to demonstrate today. I demonstrated before. There's an app coming out with show all that. But you can develop horrendous power to the point that if you get someone, I'll show you one thing anyway. Come here. Come here. So watch. What I want you to do is, where should we go? Where's the cameraman? He says, I'm going to put my arm down like this. And I want you to basically grab my arm like this and just hold me down and don't let me lift my arm with your whole body weight.
Sure.
I picked you because, not you're handsome, I'm just saying you look strong like. Okay, so all your weight, all your might like and so on. So which part of India you come from? You're a Delhi guy?
No, I'm from Western UP,
I understood right away, like these UP guys can be much stronger than the Delhi boys.
son of a wrestler.
So watch, if I like this, if I try to lift this now with my arm like this, is that like, if I do my arm, he can't lift, he can stop it. But watch, if I relax, this is Kumbh now. I relax, Kumbh, and I'll take it from my shoulder. Now put your weight onto it, quick, hold onto it, ready? Relax, now I'll come up. What's happening?
Oh, you're unbeatable.
Yeah. So there's a method of generating power through the Kumbhs, which our ancestors understood long time ago in the Vedic time, so on. And it all comes from, these particular exercises come from Rishi Mandukya. Mandukya, if you understood, is famous for writing the 12 sutras of Mandukya Upanishad.
Yeah.
And it is stated that once a frog landed on Mandukya's hand, and suddenly the frog jumped off, and he felt no pressure on the hand. And from there he realized, how can this be? Then he thought, because those Rishi Munis were highly intelligent. Then he worked out how to generate power by aligning yourself with Akarshan Shakti. So Akarshan Shakti is mentioned in the Agni Purana, gravity. So by releasing all tension in the body and gathering that tension here, like in a Kumbh, and then you can release it in a certain way that you can get more power for punching, kicking, striking, pulling, pushing, and so on. And so meditation that we do is not just has spiritual benefits to focus the mind and so on, but also in terms of physical strength as well and fitness and so on as well. Like. And as a consequence, Nam Jap is the first bhakti. That's the highest bhakti, like Nam Jap.
Mhm.
Okay, there's Raj Yoga, which is control of the emotions, so on. The Western world, because when I come to India, I just see coconuts. They're like brown on the outside, but they're all white inside, really. They even dress like Gore, like they talk like Gore, and so on, and even smell like Gore nowadays as well. Like. The Western world revolves around time. Even you guys, there's not going to be many of you without a clock, without a watch. Everything's around time. The traditional Indian world revolved around energy, around Shakti. Okay, so if you were to get the right amount of sleep, 8 hours for human beings, right amount of sleep, and when you move in a way that you don't fight gravity. So when I move, I float. I explained this last time and so on. When I lift my arm there, I lifted it without using my muscles. I'm just letting my gravity relax through, and that tension released from my body is where I get my power. You'll be surprised how much tension you have in your body, and you can release it. And then also, I don't worry about things. I don't get angry about things. This. He said this, she said this. I hate them, I love them, and blah, 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 this, and so on. I couldn't care less. Otherwise, you lose again, energy is lost again. It's all about conserving energy. Through proper sleep, proper diet, proper way of moving with gravity. It's called conserving your emotions, but it's called wasting them on stupid idea. It's called hate and anger and so on. And then Simran, meditation, to calm and relax you down, focus the mind, spirit, and get the right perspective on life. And that is the highest yoga. Okay? And then from there, the Raj Yoga is controlling the emotions. There's Sage Yoga, which is natural and spontaneous. The physical yoga, we don't really have in Sikhism, to be honest with you. Even though there's reference to yoga being done in Dasam Granth by Guru Tegh Bahadur, Mata Gujari, but that reference is more to Nam Jap and so on. But there's a yoga mentioned in Sikhani Bhaktamala, a text written by 1716 or 17 by Bhai Mani Singh, refers to Guru Nanak as practicing Chikitsa Yoga. Now, Chikitsa in Hindi means a doctor. So Chikitsa Yoga means a healing yoga. Now, that same Chikitsa Yoga, which Guru Nanak practiced, in time in Sikhism came to know in Guru Hargobind's time, we call it Dev Rahas. Okay, so when we call move, I don't move with gravity. I don't move with muscle. I move with gravity and so on. As a consequence, even like this year, I had a big operation here, and I was walking 3 hours in 2 days. I was doing Dana Berdka and running for 1 hour in 2 weeks. And my recovery, these guys will tell you, is exactly 100%. That sortie I just keep just to smack people with. I don't need it. So the healing happens quick as well because I'm not engaging the muscles and so on and so on. And that yoga becomes known as Dev Rahas, the way the secret of the gods. And with that, there's an exercise regime called Sanjam Kriya Brayam. Sur Veer Brayam Kamayan hai, Bhai Gurudas. So this, the warriors, any warrior who wants to fight needs to be fighting fit, physically fit. Okay, so in the text, it talks about running, it talks about lifting weights and so on. The ways of running, the ways of swimming, the ways of lifting weight are unique in Shastra Vidya. I mean, our friend, I got more students here, Yogditya, he's a bodybuilder, and come this way, please. I'll show you. Now, you've done weight training all your life, and he's been a national bodybuilding champion and so on. Okay, you guys, you can see his muscles and so on. And what's the difference between weightlifting in this method, the Desi Indian way, and the method you're used to, which is the Western way?
Earlier, I used to lift using my muscles only. So the tendons and the connective tissue, and that is not properly worked up always. But in this traditional way, it is easier to lift weights. You can lift more weights without using your muscles. So that translates into being less fatigued. Obviously, in form of contest bodybuilding, it might not be true, but for general public, it's very good.
Okay, good. So we have a testimony of an expert here who lifts weights and so on. So what we have now is there's a whole system of martial training for warriors, which is called Sanjam Kriya Varyam. Okay, Sanjam means self-discipline. Jab tab Sanjam tar na kamaya. Kriya is practice. Varyam, we are warriors, young warrior discipline. So self-discipline exercise warriors. So this is practiced by all, not just Sikh warriors, all Sanatana Shastra warriors who practice this kind of exercises. And they're traced back to the Nat Shastra in the old days. Obviously, they changed over the centuries. That is there. And Sanjam Kriya Varyam superficially looks like yoga because it's older than yoga. Let me show you. In Hatha Yoga, who does Hatha Yoga here? You ever looked at anybody who's Hatha Yoga here or knows about it? Veerasanas. There are Veerasanas in Hatha Yoga? Veerasanas. Yes. Warrior postures. Yes. But the yogis are pacifists. They have no bloody warrior inclination. So they don't exist. But in Shaturya, the Veerasanas, the same ones are used. So they come from a warrior tradition. Because you can't be a pacifist and then do the warrior tradition and so on as well. So it's different. So in Sanjam Kriya, we have these warrior postures, to draw swords, attack, and so on. And so that is there. But yoga, no. As you talked about 3HO and Kundalini Yoga, that's just made up. That's a guy from Delhi, because Jenny people Delhi who did a bit of Hatha Yoga with Narendra, what you call Brahmacharya, whatever, Indira Gandhi's friend. He did what you call yoga with him a bit. Yeah, Narendra Pal, tenu pata keta. So he did that with that Narendra. He then took a bit of Sikhi, a Dasi version from a Birsa Das Sadhu, from Sant Baba Birsa Das here, who was not a Sampradayaka Dasi, but yeah, he's sort of a Dasi. And then he took new age stuff from the hippies in the 60s. And just like many Indians in the 1960s went over to the Americas and basically presented this neo-yoga kind of stuff. And a lot of them are Badnam anyway. Those guys, he did the same thing in the Sikh world. But there is no such thing as Kundalini Yoga. There's a concept of Kundalini in Hatha Yoga. There's Laya Yoga. But there's no other, that yoga is not, doesn't exist. There's a Dr. Talochan Singh and so on, Anurag's father, who did a beautiful book, basically just blowing this apart in the 1970s. He went there, he met Yogi Bhajan, Bhajan Singh. He met Bhajan Singh, he knew his father, he knew his family, he knew everybody else, went to his pen and everywhere else, and he writes a book. It's in English, I think. It's like Sikhism and Tantrism. So don't get confused. Sikhs and yoga, generally, Bhakti Yoga, yes. Naam Jap, that's what Bhakti Yoga is. And that's mentioned in Sikh Bhakti Mala. Chikitsa Yoga is the healing yoga, it's this Dev Rahas, which we Shastra Vidya warriors do. Yeah. That is practiced. Naam Jap, Saj Yoga, Raj Yoga, and so on. So Naam Jap is the only kind of yoga that we actually practice. It's a Bhakti Yoga. That's what we practice.
I'm very curious to know about something. So you've mentioned how they are an extreme opinion of some Nihangs who completely disregard to the extent they might even go and destroy idols. But you acknowledge, but you don't worship idols.
No. So let's have a look. Nahang's in the Sikh tradition, there's no tradition of destroying idols. There's only one tale that one time in Dabistan Majbi, there's a text written by a Farsi guy who stayed with Guru Gobind Singh, Guru Hargobind for about 3-4 years, and he talks about an incident where a Sikh went to Naina Devi and chopped the idol's nose off, and he came back, and of course the Pandits were really pissed off. And they came and complained to Guru Hargobind. And Guru Hargobind looked around Sikhs and he asked them. And there's one Sikh got up and said, look, if the Devi can vouch that I was the one chopped the nose off, then I will admit my guilt. He was just making a point that if you just bow before the idol, it's not going to give you Shakti. Now, what is an idol like? Let me explain this how the Nihangs look at it. And later on, I'm not going to offend any Hindus here, later on in times of Guru Gobind Singh, one time, Kirpal Chand, Guru Gobind Singh Mama Ji, and Guru Gobind Singh's young lad were hunting. And they saw this high mountain on Naina Devi. And they asked Kirpal Chand, the Guru Gobind Singh asked his Mama Ji, who's this? And he explained, this is Naina Devi, the goddess highest above all, who sees all and everything. And she's the one who empowers all the warriors. So this is Surya Prakash. So then Guru Gobind Singh bowed to her like. So you say, that's a contradiction. There's chopping your nose off, there's bowing. You don't understand this. In the Guru Hargobind's time, they're making a point. You take Guru Granth Sahib, which is a book, piece of paper written there. I can bow to it all my life. But if I don't take the teachings, Thal within Vastu Payo. There are 3 things in Guru Granth Sahib. Sat, Santokh and Vacharo. There's Sat and Santokh, Vachar there. Jeko khave, Jeko ponche. Only if you eat it, take the food and then digest it. If I were just to drink this water, put it in my mouth and spit it out, it has no worship. So the Guru Granth Sahib and the idol are the same level if you do not take their lessons aboard. The Devi idol, okay, in my khada, when you go to my khada, you'll see an image of Devi, Jagdambe. Some more fanatical Nahang types, Sikhs, will tappal up in there, but they can't do much because I can beat them up. Okay? So what happens is, they say, if you're intelligent, they'll ask, why you have a murti of Devi there? Why did Maharanjit Singh's Nishan Sahib have a Durga on a tiger and with the Hanuman and Rudra behind? Why was there a flag of Banda Singh Bahadur captured in 1714 by Bahadur Shah, and they had an image of a tiger and Hanuman on it, which obviously means the rest are on there as well. Why do we have historical Sikh weapons which have images of Devi on there? Why do you have what's called Guru Granth Sahibs and Dasam Granths written at the height of the Sikh Empire in the 19th century, and they got the gods and goddesses and all that? Why do we have most images in all Gurdwaras, which have been wiped out now? So if you go to Baba Atal, before it was whitewashed by idiots, you had whole images of Devi Devte and so on, even image of the Devte attending Guru Nanak's wedding and so on. 60-70% of images in Gurdwaras, in fresco art, is usually Devi Devte like. Okay? Now, there's a reason for this. Okay? Now, I'm going to talk with Devi only. I said Nahang, so there's Sikhs here like. Okay? So some of them might be Singh Sabhis like. And some might be missionaries like. These missionary people don't like me like. Okay? I like them. I like everybody. Now watch. Let me explain this. This is very important to these Sikhs.
Yeah.
Not to the rest of them, but to you. So let me point out, for anybody, the Devi, the 8-armed goddess, the Ashpuja Deva, is but in Punjabi we call Manu Kiran Kita Roop, Vyaktigat Roop, or in English, a personified form of a talwar, sword, assi. When you wield a sword, it has 8 cuts: Dharna, Barna, Samtal, then Tirshe. And the word hat in Sanskrit means strike. But of course, in the vernacular, in Pakya, in Punjabi, and now Hindi, hat means hand. So thus, those 8 cuts becomes the hands. Now, when we move in that pentra, so when I move, I generate power and shift my body mass with my hips and throwing my hips out, my shoulders is very feminine. So in that way, you get a woman with 8 arms. And then when she stealthily moves forward, julk julk ke pair rakhna, stealthily, it is like a tiger. In this way, the sword gets personified as a beautiful woman with 8 arms sitting on a tiger. Now, this personified form, Manuki, this is smart stuff, intelligent stuff. Sikhi is Khandyon Tikhi and is Balon Nikki. Okay, it is subtle. Indians throughout the world are known as nerds. If you ask anybody, what do you think of Indians? Nerds. Most CEOs of big companies now, Google, everybody else, they're all Indians for some reason, because we are nerds. We are highly intelligent people, super intelligent actually. And when you ask them, what about physically? Are they good athletes and fighters and all that? No, they're a bunch of puffters. They can't fight, which is not true. The Kshatriyas, they could fight. Kshatriya is highly intellectual art as well. So is the whole Indian culture. We are a smart race, traditionally. I'm not saying everybody's smart nowadays. And Sikhi, traditional Sikh traditions, extremely smart. All the Gurus is well educated. All the Gurbani is written in various languages, is written in Rag and so on. And you cannot dispute the intellect in those verses of Guru Gobind Singh or Guru Nanak Dev Ji or any of the Gurus. And same with our Bhakts. They were smart people. Listen to Kabir Ji and you're thinking, shit, that is fucking super smart guys. Now, what we have now is the Manuk in the Sroop of a sword, the personified form. Kavis took that and they wrote poetry. Okay, if I said, Ek dahade navan ai Durga Shah. So one day the Queen Durga came to bathe. Now, instead of Queen Durga, I said one day the Queen's sword came to bathe. Indra birthas rahi apne hal di. So Indra then came and told about his condition to the sword. Chinta karo nakai Devi Devanu akhya. And then the Devi said, the sword said, don't worry, I'll take care of this. Uhishi mangaya Rakesh Pakhna. So then she called forth that lion, that tiger. None of that makes sense if you just said it's a sword, 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 sword. So a poet made into a beautiful woman with 8 arms, riding a tiger and so on, to give it a story. Artists, when they painted Durga, when they made those beautiful murtiyan in the mandal and so on, they took that personified form and they made the flower into this gorgeous form and so on. Same with warriors. If I teach you Narasingha Yuddhan, which is a fighting style based on a tiger, I'm going to have an image of a tiger in my head. I can't think of a donkey and then perform a tiger form. I need to, so Devi, I need that image to perform. So that's why Sikhs, Sanatan Sikhs are very comfortable with imagery. They're not idol worshippers, but they're comfortable with imagery. They have images of Durga. If you go to Hajur Sahib now, Nandir, you go into a takht, and then you look at the panels in gold, you'll have Durga on a tiger riding there. This image was there also in Patna Sahib to by 1852 when the earthquake came and destroyed it. There's a whole mandir where Langar Sahib in the Ras Sahib now, there's a whole mandir in that place, Langar place, there was actually a mandir of Kalaka Devi there and so on. So Sikhs are very comfortable with Devi, having it on their weapons, having it in their granths, having it on their Nishan Sahibs, the battle standards that the British captured. We actually got the original standard now in England. They had all this. But there is a personified form of the sword, and the sword is a pratik, meaning it represents something. What does it represent? The Adi Shakti, the primordial force. And the Adi Shakti is like Shakti energy, it can't be created, it can't be destroyed. But Adi Shakti can't be created, so it has a Shakat, a source. And the Shok is we call Brahm, we call Parameshwar, we call Vaheguru. And this Vaheguru is a Hukmran, a commander. He's the Raja who gives the command. Now, if you have a person, say this guy's boss, but no one listens to the boss. He can talk what he wants, no one gives a toss. They don't care. Like, in other words, his hukam has no dam. He's a hukmran, meaning giver is an Arabic word, meaning hukmran means giver of a command, but there's no power in his command. No one listens to him. Then he has no power. So the hukmran is Vaheguru. His power lies in his hukam. And that hukum is the Adi Shakti. The hukum, so the sword ultimately represents Vaheguru, the hukum. That's why all Sikhs, when they do Ardas, which is found at the beginning of Varsi Durga Ji ki or Varsi Bhagavati Ji ki Pacha Dasmi, it always begins Pratham Bhagavati Simar ke, fir Guru Nanak le dhyaye. First contemplate Bhagavati. Now most Sikhs will tell you Bhagavati means a sword. Ah, brilliant. But what's a sword? It's a metal. A piece of metal with a sharp edge. How can that be before Guru Nanak? How can that be greater than Guru Nanak? He has to represent something. What does he represent? Vaheguru the Hukum. So if you translate Bhagavati as I do, as Pratham Vaheguru the Hukum manke, fir Guru Nanak lete aaye. Hukum andar sabko bahar hukum na koi. Hukum is that. But we use the image for training. And when I lay my weapons eye my Makhades, our permanent in Italy, we always have an image of Jagdambe, the mother goddess. Not Durga the 8th, but just the Jagdambe. And you say, why is that? Why would you as a Sikh have an image of Durga Jagdambe? If I put this weapon down, if I give you this weapon now, if I handed the weapon and said, this weapon belongs to, say, Shivaji Maratha, someone great, Rana Pratap, Guru Gobind Singh, the way you pick it up and say, whoa, brilliant, this is this. And then I give you the same weapon, this belongs to a mass murdering rapist, and so on, kill babies with it and anything else. You're not going to touch it or look upon it or have it in your house or worship it with the same bhavana. You understand? There's emotion. So what we do is, this sword here we got this from, well, where we got it from. You have no idea what its history is. It could well belong to some psychopath or to a great warrior. We don't know. Because in history, we don't know what their weapons are. So what we do is, we put an image of Jagdambe there. That image tells us right away, when we walk to the house, in which bhavana we are worshipping these weapons. So if you walk to a house, and there's a picture of Ram there, and then you walk into another house, there's a picture of Ravan there, you can have a different emotional reaction to it. So we are devotees of Devi, Chandi, Bhagavati, Bhavani. Pratham Bhagavati Simrke, for Guru Nanak leta hai, for Guru Angad Mara. But Bhagavati to me means Hukam Vaheguru. That's how we look at it. So Sanatana Sikhism, just like the Sanatana tradition, it is Khandyo Tikhi, Balo Nikki, it is complex, it's subtle. Idiots can easily misconstrue. They can take things out of context. They can take one thing that they don't like and run with it. But a wise person listens to the whole and then decides and so on. So Shastr there is complex. The culture behind it is complex, and that's the way it is. I want to apologize for that. Go for it then.
Well, Guruji, last question, I guess. Firstly, you have decided to bring this art back to India. And you also know that there are quite a lot of problems you'll have to face once you bring this back.
Yeah.
There is the Khalistani issue, and I'm pretty sure you can also explain to us how has that impacted the Nihang's life, the division between the Hindus and the Sikhs. So, since the division is there,
Yeah.
and you have clearly pointed out that it is a more recent phenomenon, thanks to the British coming in.
Yeah.
And of course, the Khalistani problem is also quite recent. It's in the 19th century. What is your strategy to bring this art back? How do you plan to bring it? Do you plan on building an akhada or an ashram in India?
Okay.
And do you have any support of organizations like the RSS here? If not, what are the issues?
Let's look at this. This Vidya is Dharmdi Vidya. Dharm.
Yeah.
So, Dharm ka mool hai daya. Tol Dharm daya ka poot. Or paap ka mool hai abhiman. Hankar like. Okay. So, there's a lot of hankar in the world in general today. Every community, every individual thinks he's the best. Every family thinks, I am the best family. Every individual group, you talk to a Rajput, he's much chardi. And you talk to a Singh, his much even goes more like. And then you go to a Jat and his much is up there like. So in India, you have these basically ego clashes going on everywhere like and so on. Personally, I'm not political at all like. Okay, I'm not Indian, I will tell you that. I'm British passport, so I belong to a different land altogether like. I was brought up in India half, and I was brought up in England half. Yeah. At the moment, I travel in different countries. I'll be here now. Then I will go to Italy where my wife is working at the moment. I'll be there for a few weeks. Then I'm in England. Then I'll be in a month in Canada. Then a month in San Francisco. Then every month I'm in a different country or two countries. So I don't actually say I'm a Chakravarti Nahang, except I am globally Chakravarti and so on. Okay, the Nahangs, my fellow Nahangs in England, India. Oh, aap lag gaya. And they just keep on shooting each other, political fights. Even if you're trying to phone them, they won't talk to each other. They're so suspicious of people. That, who are you? I said, you know who I am. Even then, they still ask you who you are. It doesn't work. So my strategy is simple, to present the Vidya as is. Okay. At the moment, the Vidya is subtle, it's complex. I come to India twice a year. I'll be coming 3 times now. And every time I do a seminar, I explain the basics and all this. But like I said, it's subtle. And I'm slowly getting traction here. There are people who are with me now in Bombay, Goa, Vadodara, everywhere, so on. See, people are coming from all over India to study with this. I have that global following around the world as well. Like last time I did a Srijani talk with you guys, we made there's about 2-3 million watching it or whatever.
Yes.
Apparently, the second biggest talk there is. So we have that. What we're bringing out now is what we realize is the biggest problem nowadays is time. So even if you're studying in, like these boys here, they run a class on my behalf every Saturday at, was it Lodi Park?
Yeah. Lodi Gardens.
Yeah, Lodi Gardens, all right.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have problems. Like, for instance, majority of people work. And Indian working hours are very long, like. That's what I heard, like. And they work up to 6 days a week.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's it. And they work up to 9, 12 hours. And then when the weekend comes, their wife wants them. Then the kids want them. So the men are basically taxi men who just take the kids here, take the kids there, take the wife there, spend the money and so on. So time is gone. And the same is in Canada. The same is in San Francisco. The same in London. You could take in London, you could take like from one side of London to get to the other side, it could take you 2 hours getting there. So you, at the end of a weekday, you're working. And in India, in England now, they work at work, and then they work at home, and in between are the wife and the kids. And then they get to work, and then when they go to a class, they could be traveling up to 2 hours there, 2 hours back. So the issue now is timing and so on. So a lot of people can't get to classes. A lot of people want the art, but they can't. So what we're doing now is, on the phones, in the next week or two, we have invested over £50,000 to bring out a very app. The app will exist at 3 levels. This app at the bronze level, you can download free. And all the videos where I demonstrate the art, which you can find on YouTube and Facebook, and we do have probably the largest martial art demonstrative videos and so on. We have more videos on demonstrating Chatur than any other martial art in the world, basically. And as a consequence, I've done documents with Discovery, BBC, Last Stepping, so on.
Yeah.
As a consequence, all those videos, which are just demonstrating the art, will be put onto the bronze app. And any new videos, like I shot some yesterday, will also go into the bronze app. And you can download that free. And what we'll have now is just a bit of primo put onto Facebook, but the rest will go on there. And then we're giving you an option at the end that if you wish, if you desire, if you understand the significance of why we must bring back Kshatriya Dharma back into India, don't forget, the Veds and Shastras, the Purans and so on, they were corrupted by the British as well. They translated them into vernacular and distorted them.
Yeah.
But Shastras were there, but they still were there. Classical dancing, like it's called Bharatiya Natam and so on, the sport is taken away. Kathak dancing was reduced to Kothewale by the British because they are so prudes. But they still survived. Shastras there was actively suppressed. If you did Shastras there, boom, in the head. No way. And then the military system, the British was different to the indigenous ones. Shastras there was suppressed, but that one guy sounding Bangru, Babaji, he kept it alive. And now we're bringing it back, and it can be brought back. There's no question about it. There's people in the West now who are very high advanced. I've been teaching for the last 15, 20 odd years. So what's happening now is, bronze app, you download, you see all the videos, exhibition, and I say, okay, I can give 10 paise or 5 paise to this. I can support this. But then there's a silver level. The silver level will give you 2 years of instruction. Now in Shastras there we have 9 body level. This is how sophisticated it is. We have 9 levels of body mechanics. The different types of energy. I can only demonstrate and show 2 on a video. The rest I have to do personally. Those 2 levels I'm going to give you is from in Punjab in 1947, when India-Pakistan partition sadly happened. In Kalifullah Singh Burj, Baba Gyan Singh, who was what's called the 7th Gurudev of this Akhada, he trained Hindus and Sikhs to protect themselves, defend themselves with the art it is part Shastras there, but we call it Buttasar. So if you understand Punjabi, what a Buttasar means, gets you by, like. It's not the full classical art, but if you want to defend yourself unarmed, against knife, can stick or fight with sticks and knives and swords, karpana, barche, burche, it'll get you by. And that art in 1947, if there's Punjab now, that art saved it. Okay? And members of this Akhada, Baba Gyan Singh, Magdev, Baba Minder Singh, Baba Ram Singh, and so on, they were actually involved. So that Vidya, the Butta Sahib Vidya, we on the app. Plus, the very basics of classical Vidya, Garuda, it's called Varha Yuddhan, it's called Kurma Yuddhan, Varha Yuddhan, it's called Sheshna Yuddhan, and Garuda Yuddhan, which are classical arts. Now, if you wish to learn the classical art, and this is why I'm doing this, we have to have a Gurukul system, a ashram, or we call it a Akhada, where I can take a student, then teach him 2.5 years continuously. And what's the teaching include? Getting up in the morning before sunrise, meditating, Simran, between 1 kadi, 2 kadi, 22 minutes, 2.5 minutes to 45 minutes. No more that because we get detached otherwise. After that meditation, you do an hour minimum of running in a special way, it's mass spilling. And then you do about 3 hours of Sanjam Kriya Braham exercises, which is like a martial yoga, but includes weights and mungliya, mudgar, swimming, and everything else to get the body in right shape. Then you have your breakfast. And then you rest for about an hour, and then you come back for the next 10 hours to 13 hours. First, mastering the body mechanics, how to lift the arm, move properly, and then the techniques and so on, and each yuddhan. And then 2 years or 2.5 years of training this, because it takes, we Nahangs, we're Sengs. A Seng is a tiger. A tiger cub is trained 2.5 years. So same length of time, 2.5 years, that person who will train 7 days a week like that will be the same level of Kshatriya as they were in times of Guru Gobind Singh, in times of Rana Pratap and so on. Same level, skill level, we can get that back. So we can do that in 2.5 years. Up to that, before that, your children, you just have to make them smart, clever, which we are lucky in India, most kids are super clever. In fact, they're more clever than the adults. Now, that's silver. Silver level in India will cost you, is a prescription. Because even to host it on Android and on Samsung, we have to pay them. That will cost you in India between, it's about 70 to 80 rupees a month. Okay? I don't know how difficult is that for you Indians who have 70, 80 rupees a month. The minimum, like, okay. There's a rickshawala in Tiramalai down south. He approached me about 4 years ago. He says, I want to learn Chaturvidya, because obviously they've seen, because okay, how poor you are in India, you always have a phone. Okay? That's just the way it is. And he basically said, I want to learn this, but I can't afford, basically he couldn't afford the seminars. My seminar fees are very low here. It's 2,500 a day. That's 5,000 rupees, whatever, to between 2,000 to 5,000. For him, it's too high for rickshaw. I said, what about it? I said, what price? I said, what about £1, which is about 80 rupees or 70 rupees? Is that okay? He goes, yes, that's fine. So this app will cost you monthly 80 rupees. And even if you don't train like, I said, I don't train. It is in your benefit, your nation's benefit, to support the app. Okay? Even if you say, okay, I'll pay the 80, I don't train, but think of the benefits. If those skills or Kshatriyas that Rana Pratap had, Prithviraj Chauhan had, I mean, I'll tell you what, I mean, Jatin, you come here. So Jatin is a long-time martial artist. Like, he trained hard, and he lost his hair training so hard. Now, so which martial arts have you done? Tell him. Okay, tell him this.
Good afternoon, everyone. I started training in karate in 2001, and after doing my black belt, I started doing boxing from IG Stadium. Then after some time, I moved to Muay Thai. So I did some training in Muay Thai, then Kalaripayattu too, and then JKD and MM in between. So I've been doing this martial arts from approx 19 years now, and in 2011 I watched some of Gurudev's video, and I knew that there is something very subtle in this art, and I immediately understood that this is something that belongs to us. It is something which is related to our roots, and I wanted to learn this. But at that time, Gurudev was in London, and we were just praying that someday we'll got a
So how different is it to the what you learned so far?
body mechanics, if I compare it to most of the modern martial arts, it's completely different. In most of the martial arts, we emphasize on muscular power and speed, whereas in Shastra Vidya, we emphasize on gravity and the natural your natural posture, body mechanics. And even if you are doing different martial arts, like if someone is doing karate or boxing, you can use these principles and enhance those particular arts.
Okay, sit down now. Let me give you a little quote from a Japanese sword master. So Japanese Kenjutsu swordsmanship is one of the most advanced in, and if you think of samurai, you think, oh yes, Japanese. And this guy is an American guy as well. Luc Lafontaine, sword master. He trained me for a whole week because I get travel all over the world. And this is what he says about Shastra Vidya, just to get you out, because you Indians are very strange. If they present you something that's your, you will just don't in Punjab, the Monday can't get married. They go out, go to Dubai, come back, that they go outside, come back in. Because Indians don't recognize kardi cheez. It's just a rule here. That's why I have to leave in 98. When I came, 94 I left. Magdev said, show the Vidya outside, get people to recognize the Vidya in the international world, then come back, so this guy, Lafontaine, he goes, this is his quote now, he says, the Hindus seek art of swordsmanship and the full art of battlefield fighting. I am incredibly impressed with the full range that is within the art. It's a complete art within itself in terms of being an ancient and unspoiled, unfiltered and unchanged. Unspoiled, unfiltered. I can see where so many other martial arts have derived a lot of their original movement from the Indian art. The misalignments, the deceptions, the body movements, the distancing, the art itself. I'm so impressed at the fact that there is a complete martial art here to learn and the subtleties are endless. I'm really impressed with the fact that there's so much to be learned and you have to be very, very, very patient to learn this. Then he goes, this is interesting. There are very, very few arts left in the world that are whole and complete as a system from their beginning. If something was begun at the 10th century, 11th century, 14th century, 6th century, very few things now in the Western and Eastern martial arts are still a complete martial system from their beginnings. This system is complete from what I can see, what I have experienced. There's a full system here from its origins. You are learning something that warriors trained in thousands of years ago. So what we have now is, I have to go out, talk to people, show people, fight people, break people's arms and legs sometimes, to demonstrate what the art is, and then get recognition for this, and so on. There's a book, with this app, there are books coming out in 3 volumes. Initially in English, because that's a global language, but most are writing in Punjabi, and these guys will translate into Hindi as well. Take this app, silver level. Even if you don't practice, recognize the worth of what's called reviving the art of Krishna, the Chakras, the Krishna, Ram, and so on, unarmed, not just physically in terms of fighting. Even if you are elderly and physically weak, the body mechanics can make you healthy. I've shown people, there's a young girl in America who has multiple sclerosis. She can't walk because her muscles are all crowded. I showed her how to walk without using muscles. Old people who can't get out of the chairs, you can show them how to get up using body mechanics. They're easy to learn as well. This art exists at silver level, 80 rupees or so, and on the gold level, just for our guys who are training permanently. So I want to make sure I preserve the art. So my whole endeavor in my whole life is simple, to preserve and revive this art. I'm button bound for this. So whether I succeed or whether I fail, it doesn't really matter to me, because I've reached such kind already, because I learned the art, the hard bit there. I'm happy, I'm content in what I do, I'm only doing this if the Indian nation, alongside the Veds and the Shastras and the Puran and Gurbani, alongside the spiritual traditions, like yoga as well, alongside what's called, then take this martial tradition hand in hand, the Shakti. Go to your mandirs. Every devta, apart from Brahmaji, they all Shastatari, they all have Shastras in their hands and so on.
Yes.
We got to revive this, and the complexion of India will change. No longer you'll be just nerds. You'll be super nerds. I'll end here. So the app will be out, and my friends here will advertise it. You can come out, but like I said, think like this. Even if you cannot do the art, support the art, talk to other people out there, get them to support the art. And even if we do Das Pesa in here, we can build those ashrams here. I can train these guys up, and then we can undo what the British did. I am actually building a Akada in 5 years' time in England, in the backyard of England. And the two Nishan says, I've taken them to the Nihangs. We got one original one. We're going to put them back in the British yard right there. So we're reviving it in England. And there's others who will do it in Canada, America. Indians will do it here. There's over 1.3 billion Indians here. We can do this if we decide to do it.